Hello, sports fans. Welcome to another edition of Yesterday's Sports on the Sports History Network. Today, I am here again with my friend Dave DePaola. Dave is a sports historian and a sports memorabilia collector. And today, we're going to show some of our sports memorabilia that we've collected throughout our life. And first time I met Dave, it was it was at his Carvel. Him and his brothers had a Carvel ice cream store. Two of them, right, Dave?
We did, Mark. Yeah.
Two Carvel ice cream stores. So I went there. I traveled to Connecticut under the advice of Steve Summers from WFAN Sports Radio. Uh, Dave, Dave would call up the Steve Summers show, and Steve was always plugging his Carvel ice cream store for him. So I went there and I walked in, and there was just wall to wall sports memorabilia. And if I remember correctly, Dave, you told me that most of the Carvels don't really allow you to do that, right?
Back then, especially, Mark, because you probably might have come up in the 90s at some point, I think.
Right, yeah.
But I was started there in 1976. I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it was my first job. I never had any plans of buying it or my brothers and I getting involved like that.
Right.
But the guy didn't want, after about 6 years, he wanted to get rid of it. And I said, I was already working there 6 years, so
Right.
I kind of knew the ins and outs of it. And more than just a worker, I was kind of just running the whole place for him. He had no children, the guy. He didn't, he was like, I don't have any either, but he didn't.
Right.
He didn't, he took a lot of time off.
Yeah.
I was running the store for weeks. The guy wasn't even around. I was a kid.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when we took it over, it wasn't even a planned thing, Mark.
Yeah.
Little by little, I was putting stuff up.
Right.
And, people like looking. That's my cuckoo clock by the Cowboys, by the way.
Oh.
That went off the last time.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then little by little, you could say, something? This is good because it keeps people occupied.
Yeah.
And so when people would come in, they had something to look at. So then I started doing my father, who really didn't work there. He would come up and help out. He would do a lot of cleaning. He actually did a lot of the paperwork and the books.
Right.
He was a very particular guy, but he thought I was closing it in. He said, "What the heck's going on here?" Little by little, more of the wall. Before you know it, the whole store. And then,
Yeah.
I didn't even plan on doing it. Like, it wasn't a thing, but it actually worked out great. There's people now, and we closed it in 2019. We sold one and we closed one, but there's people right now to this day that still, they're talking about they used to bring their kids in and,
Right.
and they come up to me because I work in the city here, and they remember that's what they really remember about it, the pictures. And Summers brought it up because he thought he owed me I used to bring a lot of products down to him, ice cream, and we'd go down at night. And he was working at the time, and then Joe Beningo was working the overnight, and they moved Summers to a little earlier shift. Like, I think he was on after the Knicks game, or he would come on after baseball, and he would work till I think 2, and then Joe would come in.
Right.
And so I would get to hang around and see both of them.
Yeah.
But just because I was bringing the stuff down, I didn't expect, but he did it. And, he did it every single, I must have called, I called for 30 years, basically.
Yeah.
Up until his last show, which I actually got on. His last show I was very proud of that. I got on that last show for Steve Summers, but he did it every time I called. He talked about 663 Lakewood Road, Waterbury, and there was no need to do it. It became almost like a joke, kind of, but he did it every single time, Mark.
Yeah.
Every time. He didn't quit.
Right.
And so, that's people would start calling. Like you called, and a couple of guys from Ohio called, believe it or not, and some of them even asked me to go to a Cowboys were playing the Bengals and wanted me to go out there.
Right.
But there was, I met a lot of people that, and some of my closest friends today.
Yeah.
One guy's living in Hawaii now, but he was from this area, and he used to come in. We became good friends, and it was all because of those cowboy photos.
Yep.
There were other things up there, too. There was a lot of music people that I knew, but a lot of them were personal pictures, actually, even more than collectibles.
Right.
They were just pictures with me with players and you know, and then just people like to look at it, believe it or not. It was kind of like I was ahead of the time with, which I don't go on, but they got this Facebook.
Yeah.
People put up stuff.
Right.
It was like that, but it was in the 80s.
Yep.
And it was live. So it was kind of a good idea, kind of unplanned idea, but still worked out pretty good for the most part, you know?
Yeah. So people would come in there and then they would buy ice cream, right?
They'd come in, yeah, and if the line was long, that was the whole point of it.
Yeah.
You know, if there was a long line, the people didn't mind waiting.
Right.
You know, especially because they could look at, and then I started putting up a lot of newspaper articles that I had collected over the years. The one on the wall back there.
Right.
That was the '92 championship game.
Yep.
And I would get these things, and I was doing a lot of photography, and so the guy that did my framing, he had a laminating machine, so he would back them, and then he would laminate them, and then I would hang them up with just little pieces of Velcro.
Right.
You know? And so, but people like looking at all that stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like anything else. I think you don't even really plan on it, or,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It just happens, you know?
That's right. So what do you have there to show us today, Dave?
I'm going to show you some stuff, Mark. I'm going to show you the first cowboy thing I ever really got. It wasn't even, it was not even planned, okay? And I had a paper route, okay, a newspaper route.
Yep.
And there was a customer on the route, and he knew I was a big cowboy fan.
Yep.
I gotta get this down here. Hang on one second, Mark. And he was a really nice guy, the guy. And he, we talked football. I was a kid, Mark. I was 13 years old. You know what I mean? Somewhere around there, 12, 13, 14 tops.
Yep.
And the guy said, oh, you know, I could get you this jacket. He says, I could get you this, and this shirt. Oh, I think he got me the jacket first, then this jersey, which I'll show you. And what ended up happening was, I can't even remember what I paid for him, but he got me this jacket here. Okay, now this was the real McCoy.
Yep.
Now you got to understand too, back then there was no licensed products from the other. You might be able to get the hat with the little ball on top, maybe it had little Packers, or, you know, cow Packers were popular back then, kind of. Still, you know, they won in the late 60s, so they still had a big found. The New York Giants were big around here because it's a local Connecticut, but you didn't see any really cowboy stuff for the most part. No. So this guy comes up with this thing, and he says, he knew a guy that knew Buck Buchanan, the equipment manager.
Okay, yep. I remember.
You would know that name, you know.
Him,
yeah. You would know it.
He was there.
And so forever. I don't know. I don't even remember how long it took, Mark. And this guy was like I had the paper out for years. I bet you I had it for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
I probably started when I was like 9 years old. I had it till I was like about 15.
Right.
And so the guy was a newer guy. Like the house was being built, and he wasn't like a customer that I had for a long time. And he says, I could get you this coat.
Yeah.
He says, and it was made by this company here, Aladdin. You know, and I checked it out. It's got the nice chain to hang it up and everything.
Yeah.
And I knew a guy that had he used to make jackets for local sports teams, and he ended up putting my nickname on there on the front. But I don't think I wore the thing more than 5 or 6 times, Mark.
Yeah,
and
that's the one.
I have a picture of Roger Staubach. I'm going to show you with it on.
Yeah.
But it's a different material, and it wasn't anything that you could get. Like I said, there was no merchandise at all. There was no NFL merchandise back then. And I'm like, wow, look at this coat. You know, I was in my glory. I was a young kid, and I can't even remember what I paid for it. I'm going to be honest. And there's a picture of Mike Ditka. And there's Staubach. He has the jacket on.
Yep.
And, you know, back then, and you knew it was the jacket because there were no knockoffs.
No.
There were no things that maybe looked like something else, you know what I mean? And you said, oh, that's a different one. Because they did eventually make another jacket like this.
Yeah.
It was similar, but it was a completely different material. It wasn't this material here.
Right.
But that was like one of the first cowboy things that I ever got, and it was great. It's probably one of the best, really.
Oh, yeah.
or one of the rarest, you know.
That's what they wore on the sideline.
They wore it on the sideline market. It's exactly right. And it's still beautiful. The sleeves are still tight here, you know, with the white trim on it. Like it's, you know, it's in a closet and, you know, I don't even really wear it. And it was one of those bizarre things that, you know, you're like, you look back and now, you know, you're in your 60s and you're like, you know, what are the odds of some guy, you know, knowing some other guy who, you know, and he knows this young kid is a big Cowboy fan, and he gets me this the coat, I think, was like $60 or 50. I mean, I guess in the 70s it was kind of a lot of money.
Yeah.
Or maybe both items were like $80. Like I think it was 50, and the jersey I think was like 30 he got me, but like, you know, you weren't going to get that stuff.
Oh, no.
You know, I jumped at the chance, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And here's the jersey. Now, this was a jersey that was never issued, okay? And this was a jersey that they started wearing these jerseys, I believe, the first year up until this number was never issued. I looked into it.
Uh-huh.
But with the stars on the shoulders, see? And I think in 60 to 63 they wore the shirt.
Yeah, they wore it for 4 seasons. Yep.
Yes, and then and I think in 64
that's when they switched.
They went to the one with the 3 stripes
Right.
on the thing. But this was a jersey made by Southland Company, which was, you know, I checked all this stuff out over the years, and that was the name of the company, Southland Athletic Manufacturing. It was out of Terrell, Texas, and I don't think I ever wore this shirt, ever. I threw it in a closet, and it's a beautiful shirt.
Sure is.
And it's the real McCoy. You know, it's got sewn-on numbers.
Yep.
Everything's sewn on. And the same guy, he got me this jacket first, and then he got me the shirt.
Yeah.
It's insane thinking about it now. But, you know, and they're just 2 things. They're like some of the best stuff that I have. And like, I don't, you know, I'm probably you were the same. You didn't plan on collecting. I never said I'm going to start collecting. I'm going to become a collector.
No, me either.
You know what I mean? No, you just start getting stuff.
Yeah.
And then the stuff starts mounting up. And then before you know it, you know, you're getting, you know, you're collecting cards, I guess. Yeah. Everybody collected cards, right?
Yeah.
You know, we threw the cards, you know, we put them in the spokes of the tie. We know nobody gave a crap about the cards back then. Yeah. You know, now today the corner's got to be perfect and this, and they rate it, you know, it's this, and how's the card cut if it's this and all this other stuff. My buddy's a big card collector.
Right.
And I told you, he's trying to get all the Hall of Famers from the 60s and 70s. And we didn't collect cards, but then little by little, you start looking for stuff, and you start gravitating towards certain things. You know, some guys like autographs. I was never a big autograph guy.
Right.
I do have autographs and all those pictures behind me, but those are things that I bought either at shows, and I was never going to pay a lot for an autograph. Like, I don't believe in it. Like, you know what I mean? It's, you know, and I think a lot of that I think a lot of people ruined, you know, they would show up with like 30 cards, like, and you're like, you know, buddy, you know, why don't you get a card for your kid, get it signed, and, you know, a card for yourself or whatever, you know, 30 cards. And, you know, I think the guys doing the signing got hip to all this. And that's when the pricing and everything got really kind of little out of control.
Yeah.
You agree with that?
Oh, yeah, because they're using it to sell stuff. They go there with 30 cards, and then they put them on eBay and sell them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the players got wise to it.
Yeah.
And, you know, after a while, you're saying, geez, what the heck's going on?
Yeah.
But, you know, when I bought the house here, I started bringing the stuff down here. I had some stuff up at my parents' house. It was mostly in the basement. I had a little weight room set up.
Right.
And I started hanging up stuff, and I made a montage of cowboy stuff. And I have actually all those pictures where I was cutting stuff out, and little by little, you know, you get stuff. But I started going to those shows, and there was a show in White Plains, New York. It was called The National. show, and people would come from all over the country. And there was a guy that used to come up from Dallas, Rick Haskins. He had a lot of nice stuff.
Right.
He had a lot of cowboy stuff. And every time I would go to that show, I think it was in August, every year we would go to it. They would have it at White Plains it was like a civic center, like kind of a big building. It was about an hour and 20 minutes from my house, maybe an hour and 25 minutes. But they would have the show every so many months. But then once a year, they had the national show. Yeah. And that's the one I really enjoyed going to because they had double the vendors and guys you weren't going to see for, a long time. And he used to have, and I started buying pennants from him. And I got them hanging up downstairs. But here was one that's kind of rare. This was I had to look it up actually because they only made 2 years with pictures. And so I think it was 63 and 64 or 64 and 65. But this was a Cowboys pennant here.
Oh,
and it had the team photo.
Yeah.
You could see it.
Yep.
And I looked that one up, and that was 1964 because on the back it had all the players listed. And it's a pretty nice looking pennant. Yeah. And I got it in a rigid holder, and I hang them up like this in the basement. So I have them around the basement of the house. But I took this one down. This is probably one of the rarest ones that I have. I wouldn't say rare, but they're not all that common, I don't think.
Oh.
And the funny thing is, Mark, that picture, of the team, there was, I don't know if you ever saw it, you might even have them. There was a thing remember the Dallas Cowboy Weekly?
Yes.
Right? I wanted to break those out, but we'll do it another time. I have cases of them.
Yeah.
There was a thing in there where you could order team photos.
Right.
And I think I ordered them from 1960 up until 1995. And when I looked at the team photo from 1964, it wasn't this exact photo. Okay?
Yeah.
It wasn't that exact photo. It's all those team photos have the coaches in them.
Yeah.
But the guys are the exact lineup of guys are there. And it had the names. I said, this is the picture, 64. But if you notice, there's no coaches in that photo. Yeah. Not even Landry, nothing.
Yeah, just the
So, yeah, it was probably taken the exact same time. The photographer was probably ripped off probably a whole couple of rolls of film, whatever and then they took pictures, and they said they put that one in the pennant. So that was pretty good.
Can you see the whole one there, Dave?
I do, Mark. I see that. Yes.
Yeah. That's from the early 70s.
Yeah. What's the one underneath that?
Oh, that one is the Super Bowl one from, I think that's Super Bowl 30.
Oh, is it?
Underneath. But the one on top, the white one, that's probably like around 1972.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mark, if you look at those, I think sometimes you could see the dates on those.
Oh, yeah.
I think so. I got a bunch of them downstairs. And sometimes you can see the date on the back. There's a little marking in it. Sometimes, not all of them, but they're on there sometimes. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. This guy had a ton of pennants, Mark. He had ones with the little cartoon players. I got an Aikman. I got a Novacek, Emmett Smith. I'll break those out one time. But I got all those downstairs. But and then let me see what else I broke out, Mark. I broke out a bunch of stuff. I broke out a couple of jackets here. And you know about those patches because you have it.
Yeah.
So here's a jacket that I had the patches, Mark, put on this jacket.
Yeah.
And those patches were Super Bowl patches. I even have the games they lost. So the 8 Super Bowls, I put 4 on this and I put 4 on the other one. I'll show you. But this was 30, Super Bowl 30 here. This was the one in Atlanta. That was the second one against the Bills. I think 28, I guess.
Yeah.
And there's Super Bowl 5.
Yeah, that's the one against the Colts.
Yeah. And this one here was Super Bowl 13. That brutal loss to the Steelers there.
Yeah.
In the Orange Bowl. The second one in the Orange Bowl.
That's right.
And then I put a couple of pins on there. But those patches I also got at the shows, at those card shows.
Uh-huh.
And what ended up happening was I didn't realize it. There's different patches, and the guy said, "Oh, these patches here." I don't know. Maybe he was bullshitting me, but he was talking about the glue on the back.
Yeah.
You could tell the good patches from the knockoffs,
Okay.
from the actual glue on the back, I guess.
Right.
But I ended up buying all 8 of them, Mark. Here's the other 4. There's Super Bowl 12 up on top, the one against Denver. There's Super Bowl 6. I think that's the one you have on the shirt, right?
Yeah, that's on one of my jerseys.
Super Bowl 10, which is a really nice patch.
Yeah.
That's a nice looking patch, that one. It might be my favorite one.
That was the
Oh,
bicentennial.
this one's nice too.
Yeah. Yeah, that one was
And then-
the bicentennial, right?
Yes, exactly. The bicentennial year.
Yeah.
And then there's a Super Bowl. This one here is Super Bowl number. No, this one's 13. That was the one against the Steelers.
Yeah.
This one up here was 12 against the Denver.
Right.
Yeah. So I put that on this coat here. This came with like a little patch on the sleeve, this jacket. I don't remember where I got the coat, but it's got the back, Cowboys on the back. It's got the leather sleeves.
Yeah.
And it was kind of plain looking, and people were like, "What are you doing? What are you sewing those patches on there for?" And the lady did a nice job. The sewing, she used the same color stitching as the trim on the patch, so you can't really see it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, like, what the hell am I going to do with those patches, though?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? What are you going to do with those?
Yeah. Well,
Like, they're nice to have, but like, what am I going to put them in a drawer somewhere? Nobody's going to even see them, right?
right. So put them on a
Nobody
jacket.
will see the patches.
Put them on a jacket. Yeah.
No, so you had the right idea putting it on that shirt.
Yeah, this one is the Ray Nitschke jersey, and this is Super Bowl 2 against the Raiders.
Yeah, that's sharp.
Yeah.
That's sharp.
Yeah, that's the one against
Yeah.
the Raiders.
Yes, I remember that game.
Yep.
I didn't watch it. I was too young, but I did a lot of reading up on that game because, in fact, I think the Packers were a little more dominant in that game maybe than they were against the Chiefs. You think?
Yeah, and that was really their last good team. That team that beat the Raiders, that was their last good team.
Yes, exactly. And the Raiders had a pretty good team. They had a lot of, they had a lot of speed and everything. But the Chiefs, I think the Chiefs were a little better. They bounced back and ended up coming back in Super Bowl 4.
That's right.
Let's see what else, Mark. I got some Tom Landry stuff here. This was when he passed away. I got these this is from the Fort Worth Star Telegram. That's a nice item there.
Yeah, very nice.
It's like I said, I got them backed. He backs them on cardboard, and then he laminates them for me, which was nice. And some of these I had hanging in the store, so if something got on them, you could wash them off.
Oh, yeah.
Just get a sponge and clean it, and the stuff would come right off.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Remember, there's a picture of Landry there in the church, sitting in a pew.
Yeah.
And these are all they have a lot of stuff from the players, remembering, all the things that they remember. Here's even Joe Theismann's in here.
Oh.
If you could believe that.
Not that.
Here's Calvin Hill. Calvin Hill says he remembered Landry crying twice. Once after the Pittsburgh game.
Uh-huh.
And then once after a Cleveland game in the same year, he said we lost in '69.
Oh, yeah.
So he's talking about 2 games in his rookie year.
Yep.
And he says, it was the first time he ever saw a coach like break down and cry. But there's a lot of different guys: Gil Brandt, Bud Grant, Harvey Martin, Charlie Waters, Danny White, Jethro Pugh. All these guys were, and this went on for many pages. You know, when you opened up the pages, and I was getting the newspapers right from down because they're going to have the best coverage.
Yeah.
I mean, who's going to cover it? So this one's from. This is the Dallas Morning News, and they had another one here, coaching. A nice picture of Landry at the podium, and there's a picture of him on the sidelines.
Oh yeah.
I think that might have been a game against the Eagles. That championship game in 1980.
Yeah, that was about 10 degrees that game, right?
Yeah, they got a. Yeah, I rewatched that game a while back, and they were actually in that game closer than I thought. You know, you get a time takes, you don't remember it exactly, then you rewatch, and I said, you know, they were in that game in the third quarter.
Yep.
You know, for some reason I thought they really just, but Danny White didn't. I think Tony Dorsett had like 2 fumbles. He had at least 1.
Yeah.
I can't remember. He didn't have a good game. And Wilbert Montgomery killed him. I think he had like 168 yards rushing or something. He murdered them that day.
Yeah. Yep. That's when their defense was not quite the doomsday defense anymore. You could see they were slightly starting to go downhill.
Yes, that was 1980.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were starting to go downhill. You could see it.
Yeah, I mean they still had a lot of great players. I mean their defensive line was still pretty great.
Yeah.
But I think they lost Leroy Jordan by then, right? I think.
Yep. Leroy Jordan was gone. Dave Edwards was gone.
Yeah.
Lilly was gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Mel Renfro was gone.
Yes, they had still a line though with Ed Jones and Harvey Martin and Randy White. They were still very, very formidable.
Yes.
But their secondary started. Charlie Waters was the last one still hanging around, I think, at that point, wasn't he?
Yep. Yeah. Cliff Harris had retired.
Yep. Here's one I had hanging up at the store. It got a little yellow from the lights, but this was one of my favorites. This was from the Dallas Morning News, front page of the newspaper, actually.
Oh yeah, that's a nice one.
That's a nice.
Yeah.
And the guys, this guy, you remember these writers, Mark? You're good with it. Frank Luxa.
Oh yeah.
He was around forever.
Yep.
And they had a younger guy, Tim Collinshaw here.
Yeah.
And he was around for a long time.
Yeah. He might still be around.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
You know, you see these guys, and then later on, as you become older, you travel, and you end up actually meeting some of these guys.
Yeah.
You know, I got Spagnola. What's his name? He's got it. Mickey Spagnola. I've met him a couple. Very nice guy.
Right.
I met Skip Bayless on a plane one time. As much as I don't care for what he does, he's kind of he was very cordial though. He let me sit down. He said, "Why don't you sit down?" Yeah. He had me sit down next to him. Started asking me, you know, why I was coming up from a game. I gave him my opinion on the game. It was a regular season game in '95.
Yeah.
That the Cowboys lost to the 49ers. With Steve Young didn't even play. I don't know if you remember this game.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
The Cowboys got killed.
Yeah.
I went down with a 49er fan. And I think, I forgot what the final score was, but it was like 35 to something. I can't remember exactly, but
yeah, they played lousy.
The Cowboys got killed.
Yeah, they played lousy that day.
This one here I keep up at the house here. I brought it home from the shop. And I packed everything away in boxes. So all the stuff that was up at the ice cream shop, I put it in boxes and I put it in the cellar. It was up for 40 years, 35 years.
Yeah.
You know. So this one was this is the Dallas Morning News also. This was on a Sunday. This was Sunday, February 13th.
That's a nice one.
That was pretty nice, yeah. And you remember that, Mark, I'm sure. I remember that. It was a Saturday night.
Yeah. When
they sold the team.
Yeah.
And Landry got let go.
Yeah.
I think it was February 25th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And you didn't have the sports coverage that you have now.
Oh, no.
And so you had, you'll get something, an update on ESPN.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Talking about 1989.
Yeah.
And we're like, the Cowboys are for sale. Like, being up here, you didn't really hear all that. They do have a really, really good can't think of the name of it. They have a real good YouTube video with a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
From when the sale was going on. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in parts. It shows prior to the sale.
Right.
It shows the famous picture of Jerry and Jimmy at the table.
Yeah.
That was on the cover of the newspaper. I have that actually somewhere. They kind of got spotted out in public, and then speculation started, and they interviewed Tex Schramm, and he kind of really wasn't even aware of it, and it was kind of crazy. And then we, up here in New England, we got bits and pieces of it.
Yeah.
And, all of a sudden, you wake up and it was either late Saturday night or early Sunday morning. And they were saying the team was sold, and, they got that one of Jerry, he's banging the thing, and he's saying this is a new, and Bum Bright was actually banging the podium, the owner that sold it to him, and he was saying this is a new, something, and this must evolve. Boom, he's hitting the thing. And I'm thinking to myself, I was like, this is insane, because, he was the only coach that we knew of. He was there for, 29 years. So
Yeah.
it was kind of, they interviewed a lot of the players. They went to their houses. Tony Dorsett was very upset. A guy you figured you don't know, he kind of had a little rocky start with Landry, but he was very upset about it, Tony Dorsett. He was actually crying.
Yeah.
Yeah. They interviewed Randy White. They interviewed, there was quite a few guys they interviewed. They interviewed Doug Cosby and, but there's a YouTube video that covers it. I think it's called maybe the Saturday something, a massacre, or it's the 5 days. They cover all Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday when Landry came in to clean out his desk.
Yeah.
It's all on there. It's very, very good. A lot of stuff from the local news channels down there. Stuff that we would never see here,
Yeah.
So that was pretty good. And here's another. I know how much you love Lily, Bob Lilly. So you might have this picture, but this was one. He autographed this, and it's with the great Jim Brown.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
I don't know if you've ever seen that one, Mark.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yep.
Yeah, I'm getting a glare off the thing, but
That's
he's
the jersey. The jersey that you showed before.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And I got my frame guy put it in a blue and silver frame, but that was I got that one here at the house. I'd love to put a year onto that. I'm not sure. If you probably looked at that close enough, you could probably figure out what year it was, because Jim Brown played. So when did he retire, Mark?
He retired in Jim
16,
Brown?
16?
Jim Brown.
Yeah, 69 or
65. 65.
Oh, 65. Okay, I don't know why I thought it was longer.
Yeah.
So that could have been any one of those. Well, it had to be 60 through 63 because he's got that uniform on.
Yeah, 65 was his last season. Yeah, so that was 1963 or maybe a little earlier.
Yeah. Sometimes, you could tell by a player's face. Sometimes they change their face mask.
Yeah.
Man? And you go, oh, that, he had a face mask that particular year. And you can tell by that even something similar. Here's one. This is a little big. But I went down for Tom Landry Day. It was probably the greatest cowboy-related event that I ever attended.
Yeah.
And so they had a Tom Landry Day. It was April 22nd, 1989. It was about 2 months after they got rid of him.
Yeah.
And I said, I have to go to that. And I brought my video camera down there. They had it at City Hall. And there was about 100,000 people showed up, they estimated.
Wow.
And they had a parade and everything. And George Allen was there from the Redskins, the great Redskin coach. Oh, and after the parade, they congregated. They had all the, awards and everything at City Hall. They presented him with this. They presented him with that. He got all these he got a lifetime pass for flying on this airline, another pass for flying on this line, anywhere in the world he wanted to go. All these different things.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of that on YouTube if you look up Dallas Cowboys Tom Landry Day. It'll come up and it'll show his full speech, which I actually had recorded myself on my own when the big video camera we used to put on your shoulder.
Yeah.
I had a VHS, super VHS camera back then. And, but that's when you could actually bring luggage and stuff on a plane. They didn't charge you for it, you know?
Oh, yeah.
We flew down to Dallas, and that was probably the greatest thing. And they had these posters, and the posters were really nice. I ended up bringing it to my buddy for the framing, and I'll try to get back so maybe we could see it all.
Oh.
And it says "Gone but not forgotten."
Yeah, that's a nice
And
one.
it was a really nice. And he had signed. There was another poster that Leroy Neiman, the painter,
Yeah.
he had signed 300 of those, and he holds that up, you know, and he at the very end, and he gives the first one to the mayor of Dallas, and he says, you know, I'll probably never ride another parade again. I'll never have another press conference again. He says, but, you know, when I see you on the street, I'll sure say hello to you. That's how he ended it all.
Yeah.
You know, just a very, very nice man. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You know, kind of a stubborn guy, a little. You know, but a very, very nice guy, like very humble. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. He was
And-
very good with the public.
Oh, he was top. Let me tell you, this story will sum it all up, Mark, and then this picture too. So there was a store down there called Athletic Supply. It was a sports store, and I used to go in there quite a bit. And I bought a pair of game pants. And I used to buy different things that were in there.
Yeah.
And the guy got to know me, actually, and so did the woman. She recognized me from, I went down year after year. You know what I mean? There was a period of years I was going down.
Yeah.
And I went down for the Tom Landry, and she says to me, you know, Tom's going to be here on Sunday, and he's going to sign. I said, I'm thinking to myself, what? So I got down there on a Wednesday, I think.
Yeah.
And I says, I gotta get that picture. Somebody had taken a picture with me and Landry at training camp out in Thousand Oaks.
Yeah, I remember.
And I blew it up kind of big, and I put it in the store.
Uh-huh.
And I said, I gotta get that picture and have him sign it. It'll be great.
Yeah.
So I called my brother, and I told him to send it down next day mail down to my room where I was staying.
Right.
And sure enough, late in that day, now it's Thursday, it arrives. I said, I have plenty of time because he's not going to be there till Sunday. So they had the thing on Saturday, and then after they had all the festivities at the city hall, that disbanded at about maybe 3 o'clock. They had a Cowboys against the Redskins flag football game over at Texas Stadium at like 5 or 6 o'clock at night. I can't remember, but it started Georgia, and all the old Redskins were there, Mark.
Yeah.
It was great. Ron McDowell, Riggins was playing in the game. All these guys. And there's some footage of that. There's some footage of that game. NFL did a films on the Cowboy-Redskin rivalry.
Yeah.
And there's footage of that flag football game on that film. You're very good with those films. You would remember
I
this.
saw a little bit of it. Yeah, I remember seeing it.
And it showed Charlie Waters was telling the guy something. Remember?
I think that was actually Dwayne Thomas.
No, it was Dwayne Thomas. You're right.
He was
It
playing
was
for
him.
the Redskins.
Yes, he was playing with the Redskins.
They got into a little bit of an argument.
Yes, and George Allen couldn't. But George Allen at that time was sick,
Yeah.
and we didn't know it. He passed away shortly after that.
Yeah.
And you could see it. If you watch that clip, you'll see. And he said, wow, look at Riggins, he says.
Yeah.
He can really go still. And he was impressed now how fast Riggins could still run, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, I went to that. On Sunday, I went to Athletic Supply, that was the place. And there was a huge line. Everybody wanted Landry to sign something, obviously.
Yeah.
So I brought the picture. And he signed it, and I brought that football card that I showed you last week, that Landry card.
Yeah.
But I didn't have him sign it because, you know, they said, "Oh, don't have him sign it. Just It's better if it's not signed. And he was ready to sign it,
Yeah.
and he started laughing when I told him it's actually better if you don't sign it. I said, but like I said, I should have probably just had him sign it. Who cares?
Yeah.
But anyway, he did sign the picture because I knew I was going to hang it up. This is 1986, I believe, training camp, and this was I brought it down and he signed it. Very nice guy, and he just took his time, and he wasn't getting paid to sign anything. By the way, he didn't charge 1 red cent. It wasn't all this other bullshit that they talk about. You got to sign the bat is more, the flat item is less.
Yeah.
He signed. I have it on videotape. The person that I was with was filming it all.
Yeah.
They filmed it when I went up to the table, and they filmed the people that were. I filmed a lot of the people that were behind me and the people that were before me. He was taking pictures with families. He was getting up from the table. He was signing anything. People were having him sign 4, 5, 6 different things.
Yep.
And it was very, very intimate. Actually, if you want to know the truth.
Yeah.
And it was great. I'm thinking this guy had this parade yesterday, and he had the Cowboys flag football game and all this. I'm thinking this guy's got to be tired.
Yeah.
And yet he showed up to do all that signing. It was unbelievable, really.
Yeah.
Hey,
you'd never see that today.
No. And then let's see, what else do I got here? This was, I showed you this before. This was the program to his. They had a gathering when he passed, and it was quite large. It was televised, actually. I pulled it in on my big satellite dish. When I had the big satellite dish, I was able to get I got a live feed of that. Yeah. And this was from the services. This is a nice item. It's Tom Landry, gives the years.
Yeah.
And it's got a verse, I think, from Romans on there.
Uh-huh.
And it was really nice. February 17th. I can't see it, Mark, but is it 2000? Yeah. But Bob Lilly gave a great speech that day. Yeah. And that's on YouTube. You can find that.
Yeah.
And he talks about how Landry, he went to his first meeting ever with the Cowboys. His car was falling apart, Lilly. He was driving around the condemned baseball stadium where they used to practice. He said, and when he went in there, he could hear Landry's voice. And he said when he got into the room, he was a little late. Think of being late on your first time ever.
Yeah.
He said, and Landry said, the next time that'll cost you $50.
Yeah.
I think he said, or $25, or some ridiculous small amount of money by today's standards. But, these guys weren't getting paid that much. But Lilly said that, he talked about, God, family, and football.
Yeah.
And he said, I thought this guy was kidding.
Yeah.
He said, we can't possibly, he can't possibly be serious. He goes, but I was a young guy, out of college. Like he said, I was green.
Right.
He goes, and then when I retired at, 35 years old, or whatever he was, about that.
Yeah.
He said, I realized, that I could relate to it. I realized what he was talking about.
Yeah.
But, it was a great speech he gave about Landry. He talked also about him breaking down after the 65 game against the Steelers.
Right.
He came into the locker room and he broke down and started to cry, saying that he tried to do everything that he could do, and he thought he let the players down, and then the players realized they weren't really putting out 100%. You've heard Lilly talk about that.
Oh yeah. And that was,
and he says he thought that was the turning point of the Cowboys. Lilly believes, and still does believe, that was the turning point.
Yep.
And how it set him on the 20 straight years of winning seasons.
That's right.
From that point on, so it was kind of pretty good the way he, put it all, but it was funny because he's saying that the place was so dark. When he walked in, he said they had these military style lights with like the grill over. He said you could barely see, he says.
That was, I think it was called Burnett Field, right? Burnett Field.
Yep.
Yeah, he said that.
Yeah,
He talked about he said the rats used to get in there and chew on chew on their shoulder pads and their spikes.
That's right. That's right. In fact, one of the funniest lines he ever came out with, Lily, he says, I always wanted to ask Coach Landry what it was like going from Yankee Stadium to Burnett Park.
Yeah.
Okay? Because Landry, think about it, he was coaching and playing in Yankee Stadium.
That's right.
Like the mecca of sports.
Yeah.
And then he goes to this broken down semi-pro baseball stadium.
Yep.
Unbelievable, Mark. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
If you think about it, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you talked about the rats used to get in there at night and chew on their
That's right.
uniforms.
Exactly right, buddy.
And he said,
And I don't know if you got this, Mark. I think you might have this piece. I'm not sure if you have it, but I got this somewhere along the way. I think it was made by Dan Mint. I'm not 100% sure. Let me just look at the bottom. It doesn't say, believe it or not. I thought it was. It just says NFL trademark. But it was a statue
oh, yeah.
from the 70s.
Yeah, I remember they sent me the picture of it.
Yeah, there was Billy Joe Dupree. There's all the players.
Yeah.
And there's Dorsett. And see, the helmet's even loose. See the helmet, Dupree?
Yeah.
You could put the helmet in his hand.
Yeah.
And then you had Drew Pearson. There was Staubach right there.
Yeah.
Landry, of course. Charlie Waters. They're very good. They're very crisp, these things.
Oh, yeah.
They really actually look like the players.
Amazing artwork.
Yeah, Mel Renfro and Randy White.
Amazing.
And then on the back, it's got the jersey numbers and the players' names, and it was quite a nice little piece.
It's beautiful.
And I found a spot for it in my spare room down here. And when my buddy moved, there's a similar piece. I'll show it to you someday.
Yeah.
Of just the Doomsday Defense with Lily. I think Chuck Howley might be in it. And there's two other guys. I have to go upstairs. I got it upstairs. I'll get it one day. It's the same thing, the same players, the guy that's the same did the thing, but they're in different poses, and there's just four of them. And it's just about, I think Mel Renfro, it's just about the defense.
I think I got the picture of it. Let me see. Oh yeah, I see it. It's got Mel Renfro, Bob Lilly, Chuck Howley, and Leroy Jordan. Yep.
That's right, Leroy Jordan. I forgot he was in there.
Yep.
That's my buddy Tom, the guy that moved to Hawaii.
Right.
He left a lot of stuff behind because he couldn't take it with him. He had bought a furnished condominium when he retired. He moved to Hawaii for good because he loved going down to Hawaii. And he left some stuff behind with another guy, a fan, where we all became friends because of the shop. And the other guy's downsizing now.
Yeah.
He had a big house, much, much bigger than mine. And so he said, I'm going to bring some stuff down. Can you take it? And I'm thinking, geez, I barely have any room here. Anyway, I ended up making some room. And that piece was my friend Tom's. I got that upstairs. See, he's going to come back someday. He says, if you want to take the stuff back, Tom, you could take it back. Obviously, it's yours. I said, but I did find a couple. That was a really nice piece, similar to that one I just showed you.
Yeah.
And then let me just see here. Here's a thing that I don't even know where I stumbled upon this stuff. Like I said, Mark, I didn't plan on really collecting stuff. I'm not a collector, really.
Yeah.
Like I don't go and rummage through stuff and look for. You just pick up things here and there.
Yeah.
And because I didn't get married, I didn't have children. I had a couple of extra bucks to spend on these kinds of things, and so, you just pick things up. This was, I don't even know where I got this one, but this was in a cowboy boot. It was a holder, and then the thing goes like this. And of all things, Mark, you're not going to believe it. Now, I don't even drink, but somebody gave me this. It's Randy White, of all, of all people.
Yeah.
I don't know why the hell you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you can see it there. It says,
Yep.
I don't know what the heck it is, but, I became pretty kind of, we became kind of acquaintances.
Yeah.
And I saw him for a number of years. I didn't have this at the time, but I wish I did have it.
Yeah.
I would have said, what the hell is that? You know what I mean? But, last time I thought I was going to see him when we went to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That would have been great. Believe me, if we could have gotten a hold of him when we went last year.
Yeah, they wouldn't.
We could have connected on a lot of different stuff because I hadn't seen him in years.
Yeah,
But this Randy White's. I think there was a series of players because it says legends on the bottle.
Yeah.
And so you could. I think there was different guys from different teams, but that happened to be one. I don't even know where I got that damn thing from. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, sometimes you don't even know where you got it from.
In fact, let me just grab this picture here, Mark. This was Randy White. This is how I really became friendly with him. A friend of mine was living with me at the time.
Yeah.
And he worked for a refuse company. He used to pick up garbage, and the guy, he had a friend who worked for the city of Waterbury. He was the main guy. He ran the whole refuse department.
Right.
But this guy also cooked.
Okay.
He was a good cook.
Yeah.
So in 1979, a guy that I know, remember the Nautilus?
Yeah.
Remember that was big, Nautilus?
Arthur Jones, the guy's name was.
Oh, is that what Mark knows?
Arthur
yeah,
Jones.
Arthur Jones, yeah. They opened one up in Waterbury.
Right.
So Randy White came for a thing for it.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the first time I met him.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't want to, there was people there. So I met him and I was like, it was good to meet him and everything. That was one of my all-time favorites. That was in 79. So he was only in the league a few years at that point, 3-4 years. 75, right? 76, 77, 5 years.
Yeah.
So the next time he came was 1983. There was a club called the Sportsman Club in Waterbury.
Yeah.
And he was going to come and he was going to be the speaker. I said, this is great,
Yeah.
So my buddy says, hey, Johnny is going to be cooking down at this little restaurant kind of near my house, literally not even a mile from my house.
Oh.
And it was like a kind of just a bar, like a little small local bar. It wasn't even anything big.
Right.
They're gonna bring Randy White over there for lunch.
Wow.
And I said, oh, this would be great. I said, so I got out the scrap mark. I got out almost everything I had, and I said, we'll have time to talk, So
Yeah.
I got a bunch of pictures. I'll show them, but this is the only one I had out. I just remembered I had it out here, so I grabbed it. But this was a picture. This was that day of me and Randy White, and you can see I brought my scrapbook there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see he's looking at it. He's getting a big kick out of it.
Yeah.
And that guy to the left of him, in the picture to the right of him, he ran the bowling alleys.
Oh,
One of the nicest guys. Frank was his mate. He's passed away since this picture, but one of the nicest guys. But we sat at the same table, Randy White and I together.
Yeah.
And he ended up, you could see him, he's got a pen in his hand. He was signing a bunch of stuff. I wasn't even asking him to sign anything.
Yeah.
He must have signed about 20 things that day.
Wow.
And we sat at the table. He talked about Super Bowl 13. Because look, it was just ended.
Yeah, that's right.
He had just gotten beat like 2-3 months prior to that. I think this Nautilus thing was like in March.
Yeah.
And
A couple months.
yes. And he didn't really talk about it then, but he talked about it here in 1983. He was talking about the cast on his hand and how he probably should have never even picked the ball up. And he talked on a number of things. We talked for hours. He was at that luncheon for at least two and a half hours. He was there.
Wow.
And then he spoke at the dinner that night, but there was a lot of people there, so we didn't talk to him. And that's how I kind of got to know him. And then I think I went out to training camp a few times. He remembered me.
Yeah.
And then he gave me his address,
Wow.
where he was living down in Dallas. So I went over his house a couple times.
Yeah.
And then when he came to New York, he would tell me where he would be staying.
Wow.
And they stayed in Times Square one year, right in, I think it was the Marriott Marquis Hotel down there.
Okay.
We went down and he was with John Dutton. He was going out to dinner.
Right.
And I met up with him. So that's how that all started. But it started with that thing, with the lunch, with the guy that I know that did the cooking. Of all things, you know what I mean? Just another crazy thing that you didn't think could possibly ever happen.
Yep.
And it did happen, you know?
Yeah.
Here's a picture. A couple buddies of mine, these were just hanging around downstairs last night, so I grabbed them. We went down to the Super Bowl in 2011, where they held it in Dallas.
Right.
And they had a lot of bad problems with the weather. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Remember, I think the ice even slid off the somebody. I think somebody got killed, didn't they, or hurt badly?
Oh, I don't remember, but I remember there was a lot of ice.
Yeah, but falling ice. It fell off the stadium or something. I think the guy got injured very badly. I don't know if he got killed. Don't quote me on that, but it was not good. I can tell you that. It was bad. Anyway, we took a ride from. We were going over to Fort Worth. So when I would go down for Cowboy games on Saturday nights, I would go over to Fort Worth. They have the rodeo down there. They have what they call the stockyards, all this old time stuff, and with the wooden sidewalks and a lot of old stuff, like restored buildings. Really, 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 really nice setup down there in Fort Worth, Texas. And we would drive from Dallas over to Fort Worth. It's about a 45-minute ride, and you're driving on the Tom Landry Highway.
Oh, look at that.
Pretty good, yeah. That's those are the three guys I went with. I took that picture. So that was pretty good. They named the highway that goes through there after Landry. A lot of people don't know that. And then here's a couple of Landry marked that I took these at training camp one year.
Wow.
There's a picture of him with the plays, I think, in his hands. You could see it.
Yep.
On the left.
Yeah.
And then there's another picture of him here talking to the press.
Yeah.
He's got the microphones, and I had my video camera, and it was like it was almost as if he was talking to me.
Yeah.
I moved right in there like it was nothing.
Yeah.
And then I put the video camera down, and I pulled out my other cameras, and I started just snapping a couple of stills. But I framed that a few years ago. Those were two of my favorite pictures of Landry.
Yeah, those are sure.
And I put him down here in this little room. And then, of course, in 1989, after the Cowboys got sold,
yeah,
I went down for a couple of games. I would go down on the week of Thanksgiving. Because they would play on Sunday, and then they would play on Thursday again.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, I couldn't believe it. All of a sudden, Jerry Jones appears in the stands. And I'm like, yeah, nobody's going to go over to him. They don't even like the guy.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to get a picture with Jerry.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I got the picture with Jerry. And it worked out pretty good.
Yeah. Picture.
That people get a big kick out of that. They go, is that Jerry Jones?
Yeah.
And they go, yeah, he was actually trying to, gain some popularity. So, of course, he was up in the stands.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. In fact, when we went, I think it was 88. I have a picture of it. I got to find it. I think I have it at work in my locker. But I had a picture of Tex Schramm. He was jogging.
Yeah.
And I was on a thing with another guy. He wasn't really a big Cowboy fan. He was a kid that worked for me. But he played football and he liked football. Yeah. So we went down for a couple of games for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And we're going over to the Cowboys training facility. And there's this guy, and I said, that guy looks like Tex Schramm. But he had like a jogging suit on. And he so anyway, we're walking through and it just opened.
Yeah.
What they called the Valley Ranch.
Right.
It was not even halfway completed, but they were giving a tour of a lot of the main stuff was done. So as we're walking through the building, we walk by this room and I'm like, that's the guy I just saw. That's him. So I grabbed my buddy and I said, we've got to go back here. We broke away from the tour kind of, and we go into the and I knock on the door and I said, oh, Mr. Schramm, how are you? I came down from Connecticut. No, don't forget, this is when the team was terrible.
Yeah.
You're talking about 1988.
Oh, yeah. They were really bad.
And so, right, exactly. So I'm thinking, he didn't throw us out. He was very, very nice. Come on in. He had that voice.
Yeah.
Come on, it's very, very, very nice of you to come down. And I'm thinking to myself. So I was filming it with my video camera, and then we took a couple pictures. You mind if you go? Oh no. So we took a couple pictures with the Super Bowl trophy, and I'm thinking, and it was kind of, it wasn't really part of the tour, but we kind of made it part of the tour. But every time I wrote to them, I would get a letter.
Yeah.
Back from the Cowboys, and he always signed it. It was not. It wasn't a stamp, or it wasn't a pre. It was really text ram. It was actually written in different color ink and everything. So I had some of those hanging up in the store for the people that really knew who he was. A lot of people don't even know who he is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was pretty good. That was great, actually. It sounds crazy, but the worse they got and the less people that showed up, it was a more opportunity for you to get something like that.
Yeah.
Because they weren't going to be barraged with fans and all this other bullshit that goes on. Can you mean? Because that's what happens. It gets out of control, so they put a stop to things.
Yeah, that's what happened at the Hall of Fame, right? That's what happened at the Hall of Fame. Yeah.
There you go, Mark.
We got a picture with Gil Brandt. Gil Brandt with my son.
Yes, I saw that picture.
Yep, that's probably going back about 20 years ago. That's before it got out of hand, and you could get pictures with all these guys. But now, we went last year, I guess it was 2000.
When we went,
in 2023, you couldn't even get anywhere near the players.
And we had the passes, Mark.
Yeah, we had passes, and we couldn't get. They wouldn't let us in anywhere. No.
No, they were. You could go to certain spots, but that was it.
Yeah, that was it. You couldn't get near the players.
Even with the press passes.
No, they wouldn't let.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of disappointing. I mean, it was still good. I had fun.
Yeah, but it was different. It was all different.
I got a few other things here, Mark. I'll show you. You're going to like this one. I don't know if I showed you. I might have showed you this in the distance, but I took it off the wall. I don't even know where the hell I got this, Mark. I think it was when I went down to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So they have a thing called the NFL Experience, where you could go in and you throw the ball, you do this. It's mostly for kids.
Yeah, I remember taking my son to it.
Yes, it's pretty good. And,
yep.
What year did you go to it?
Probably early 2000s. It was at the Hall of Fame. They had it at the Hall of Fame. NFL Experience. Yep.
So they would expand on it. So I went in 2000. It was January of 2011. The Packers were playing the Steelers for the Super Bowl, and it was pretty good. It was better than I thought. And it was big. And so part of the NFL Experience was like a memorabilia thing.
Okay.
Big, Mark, huge. And I ended up running into that guy, Rick Haskins.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen that guy probably since the mid '90s. So you're talking easily 15 years.
Yeah.
Easily. So, he recognized me kind of. He did it like a double take. He looked down and then he looked back up again. And I knew who he was, and he goes, "Yeah, well, you look familiar," he said. And I said, I used to talk to you at the National Show.
Right.
The guy I used to buy all the pennants from. So anyway, I think I might have got this at his table. It was only $5. It was a newspaper article about Lily. Oh. It says, Lily moves to Graham, Texas. Imagine this.
Yeah.
And a picture of him and his wife there. And it was pretty good. And I said, boy, it says right down there in the corner, $5.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
But this was the Graham newspaper, so I guess for a small town like that, this was big news.
Oh, that's a big deal, yeah.
But for me, just stumbling upon it,
Yeah.
And I said, this is great for me to have. He's my favorite player. I know he's your favorite player, so I knew you'd get a big kick out of that. And then I showed you one of these mugs last week. I wanted to break these out again just because these are really sharp. So these are the Danbury Mint.
Okay.
Yeah. Right here.
Yeah.
And this is the Staubach one. I think I showed you this one. I think I showed you Aikman. But these are really, really sharp.
That's real nice.
You know,
I
and
never saw those before.
yeah, I got this, Mark. I think somebody gave these to me for Christmas.
Wow, that's
We
beautiful.
we used to exchange Christmas gifts, you know.
Yeah,
And the top's got the star on it.
yeah.
You know, opens up. Very well made too. It's not, you know, you could tell when you have it in your hand. It's not just a piece of junk.
No.
You know, and they made one of Aikman. I think those were the only two for the quarterbacks. But the Aikman one is also very nice.
Yeah, that's real nice.
You could see it there.
That's a nice piece of work there.
Yeah, same thing. The thing on the collector's stein, and it's got the star on top.
Yeah.
And very, very nice. It's got a thing of his autograph there. I have his autograph a couple times, so that's definitely it.
Yeah.
But they did a nice job on these, and I put them in that case behind me there.
Yeah.
And nobody, you know, I don't get too many people coming down into this room.
Right.
But here's one from the Hall of Fame. When Randy White got in, I went out there for that. And this was, it says Pro Football Hall of Fame on the bottom there.
Yeah.
You know, you could see it.
Yep.
And then had Bud Grant. These are the people that got in with him. Bud Grant.
I see Jackie Smith, Jimmy
Yes.
Johnson.
Jackie Smith. There you go.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson.
There you go.
Can't tell who it is. I can't.
That was Tony Dorsett.
Oh, okay.
That was Dorsett.
Yeah, that doesn't really look like him, but the other one.
No, it really does. But that looks like Jackie Smith and Bud Grant.
Jackie Smith, Bud Grant, Jimmy Johnson. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And that's Kelly, Leroy Kelly.
Leroy Kelly, Mark.
Yeah, Leroy.
Now
Kelly.
you're talking.
And there's Randy.
Yeah, and they had the little football on top. They had the Hall of Fame logo on it. And I got that in the gift shop over there.
Yeah.
Not too bad, you know. It was a nice piece. I still got the tag on it. Cost me, it was $65.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
You know?
Nice.
But like it's one of, you know, you're there for that particular show. So, I mean, you know, for that particular enshrinement.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was worth getting, you know. And you start saying, geez, I'm starting to run out of room. Here were those bobbleheads you like. Okay, my two favorite players, Mark, of all guys. Lily and Randy White. Imagine that.
I got a bobblehead doll from let me see if I can reach it. This is from the early 70s too. It's from the early 70s. A bobblehead doll. Dallas.
Look at that.
Yeah, it got damaged. When my son was little, I had this for years. When my son he was probably only 2 or 3 years. He got a hold
Did he pull on it?
He got a hold of it somehow, and he pulled on it. He pulled the head up, so it got damaged. But yeah, that's old. That's from like probably 1971, 1970.
Listen. That's when they didn't have any of this stuff.
Yeah. I don't know where my mother got it. Probably a Christmas gift. I don't know where she got. She would order stuff. You know, one place you could get some stuff was the Sears catalog.
I remember that. Funny you bring that up.
Yeah, Sears and Roebuck catalog. You were able to get some stuff on there.
There was a woman. I wish I had that, but here's those bobbleheads again, Mark.
Yeah,
there's Lily.
Yeah, there's a nice.
And they were made by. It says Genesco Sports Enterprises. It's out of Dallas, Texas. It's right there. I think they're numbered.
Yeah.
It says Bob Lilly. So player 1 of 6. They only had 6 of them.
Yeah.
You know, and the other one was Randy White.
Yeah.
And he was, what number was he? It says 2. 2 of 6. So I don't know if these were cowboy, just cowboy players, but on the front it says Pepsi. On the bottom there.
Yeah.
Pepsi, see?
Yeah. See it. Nice.
Those were pretty good. And here's an old plate. I pulled it out of that case behind me last night when I knew we were gonna do this. This is Staubach and Landry. This is a nice item here.
Yeah, that's real nice.
And this was done by a company called Sports Impressions.
Yeah, some of these.
And they were at 7,500. That's a lot, you know. And that was 2016. They put the number on the back.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty nice looking plate.
Some of that art is amazing.
It had the stadium and there's one other thing I do want to show you, Mark. That I'm gonna grab it in a minute. It's over there. I wanted to get it down last night. Probably one of the best things that I have of Landry and Staubach. I picked it up at a guy was going out of business.
Yeah.
He was selling auto parts, all racing stuff, NASCAR.
Okay.
And he was packing it in. And he had this piece.
Yeah.
It was Staubach and Lilly. Let me just grab it. So Staubach and Landry, hang on.
Right. Okay.
It didn't come, Mark, with the it didn't come with the case. I put the case, but it's got a mirror back. And if you look at the bottom, you can see they signed them. Staubach and Landry's signatures.
Wow, that's a nice.
And the guy had it in his store. It's a really nice piece. You could see.
Oh yeah.
And the behind Staubach and Landry is a mirror, so you could see the backs of them. See, you could see Staubach's jersey.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the reflection.
Yeah.
But and you could see the signatures there.
Yeah.
On the bottom there, Staubach and Landry. That was a nice piece, and you're not going to believe it. I remember vividly what I paid for that. I paid $35 for that.
Oh man.
Okay. I said, what the hell's this guy doing here? Yeah. You know what I mean? Everything the guy had was NASCAR, Mark.
Right, except for that.
Everything he had was NASCAR. And I said, wow, this is a great piece to have. And I ended up buying that display case for it, which actually makes the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know? So that was pretty good. That's probably one of my favorite pieces, that piece there.
Yeah, you got some deal on that.
You know, it was a steal. Here's Lily. He's your favorite, so I broke these out yesterday. I had these in that case behind me. I forget. My buddy gives me stuff every Christmas. He collects cards, like I told you.
Yeah.
And he's always looking for stuff, and we do a lot of stuff together, all of us. So we trade gifts sometimes, you know. But he gets these. Here was a card, but Lily signed this one here. I don't know if you have that card. Legendary Players.
That's a nice one, yeah.
Not sure who makes it. Upper Deck.
Yeah.
Upper Deck made that one there. And here's one of Lily in college. Or this is, he's got a different uniform on, Mark. It doesn't look like, but he wasn't 74 in college.
72, I think.
Yes, that's where that other thing's going to come in. But that's an autograph, one of Lily.
Yeah.
But there's no insignia or nothing on the helmet. It's hard to see, but you could see it a little better there.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what kind of uniform that is. You know? It's kind of odd.
Purple. They call him the Purple Cloud. His nickname was the Purple Cloud in college. I think their uniform jerseys were purple.
Yes, they still are.
Yeah.
Remember they went to the championship game a couple years ago. They got trounced.
Oh.
TCU.
Yeah.
Who the hell? Somebody beat the pants off of them. Two, not last season, the season before.
Oh.
They made it to the college championship game.
Wow.
But they got hammered by somebody. I forgot who it was. And here's one made by Sports Illustrated, Flair. And this is the other one. So that's another Lily autograph.
Oh,
It was
yeah,
pretty
I
good.
have that one.
It looks like Super Bowl V, right?
Yeah, I think I have that card. Yep, that's a nice one.
Yeah, so there's a few that I had. He had autographs, which, like, my buddy's impressed.
Yeah.
He goes, some of these guys, he goes, Lily, really, his autographs are very, very crisp.
Yeah, he doesn't just scribble.
No. You can see that he takes his. In fact, there's a thing where he's signing on YouTube, and you can see how he really takes his time.
Yeah.
And so, this is the last thing I'll show you. This is the one we were talking about. So, I have a bunch of these, believe it or not, Mark. A friend of mine went to go work, and for a while he was working over in Russia, if you could believe it. And he was getting these dolls that they make.
Oh, yeah.
These are Russian. There's a name for these things.
Yeah.
So this was the old Cowboys here. So this was Staubach. And, obviously the guys, they don't look like the players or nothing. It's just the principle of it. But when you open it up, the second one is Lily. Okay? And look, Mark, what's that say?
Yeah.
Lily. 72.
Yeah. I think that was
So
his college number.
They got it mixed up, Mark.
Yeah. I think that was his college number.
You're right. It was his college number. I said, Mark's going to know.
Yeah.
But think of that mistake. So somebody looked something up.
Yeah.
And they must have said, he's 72.
Yeah.
But not with the Cowboys.
That was a mistake.
And then here was Rayfield Wright.
Oh, yeah.
70.
Yep.
And the last guy in here was Leroy Jordan.
Nice.
Oh, no, there's one more inside Jordan. Hang on.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Oh, it's just a football.
Oh, okay.
Little football.
Yeah.
Well, I got a bunch of these ones, and I don't even, like I said, I don't even know. Just different people give you different stuff over the years. It's gotten to the point where I can't handle any more stuff, really. Houses, But and then the newest one I had gotten was maybe 2016 or 18. I think it was right after Prescott. There was Witten.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Player.
that one actually kind of does look like Witten a
A
little.
little bit. Yeah.
A little bit, right?
Yeah.
That looks like him.
He came close.
And then the inside was Prescott.
Uh-huh.
He was 4. And then 50, Sean Lee.
Oh, okay. I thought it was D.D. Lewis.
Yeah. No, this was the modern. These were the modern guys. There's Elliott,
Okay.
21, and the little football again inside at the end. But, they're big over there. I've got 3 other ones of these from different eras. I even got one, believe it or not, you're not going to believe it. The quarterback on the outside is Quincy Carter. How about that?
Carter.
Quincy Carter. I got one over there with Emmitt Smith on the outside, and another one, I can't see who it is, but I got a bunch of them, and I got a bunch of stuff over there too. But that for today, that's what I pulled out, Mark.
Well, that was great. You got some great, neat stuff. Unique. A lot of unique stuff. So
That jacket and shirt were kind of rare.
Oh, yeah.
But
The one they wore on the sidelines, I love that. That jacket that they wore on the sideline. I pulled out a few things. Here's your favorite baseball player.
Oh, yeah, now you're talking.
Yeah.
He just passed away this year.
That's right.
Willie Mays. I went down to the ballpark where in San Francisco. I was out for an event in 2018, and they had a statue of Willie Mays out there in front of the park. It's tremendous.
Yeah.
That's where the people were putting all the wreaths and the flowers after he passed away. I took a couple pictures there. It was great. We were there for a musical thing, my brother and I, in Oakland. But during the day, we went over to San Francisco to see some of the sights, and we went down to the stadium. Right. And they got a one of Juan Marichal with his leg. He had the high statue. They have a huge picture, of Willie McCovey.
Wow.
Who was Summer's favorite, by the way. That was his favorite baseball player, was Willie McCovey.
Yeah. I remember I sent him a baseball card of Willie McCovey, and he wrote to me and thanked me. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, listen. Yeah, and then they had the statue of Willie Mays, and then in one of the case,
Yeah.
They had all his bats. They had his bats and his gold gloves.
Wow. Neat.
You know, right where you walk in, it was called the Willie Mays entrance into the stadium. It was pretty good.
Right. Right.
Yeah, he was my favorite.
Yeah.
You know.
These cards, you remember these? These came out They only had these for 2 years, 1970 and 1971. And
Really?
They weren't like the regular cut. These were 4x6, and they were a thick cardboard. So it's
Yes.
they don't get damaged like the little cards. You know, they get creased or they get the corners bent. But these, it's hard to damage these because it's thick cardboard, and they only came.
Yeah. What'd you do? Put it.
They had them in football.
You put it in that plaque.
Yeah, I put it in a plaque to keep it protected. But they also had football. But the football, I only think, was 1970. It was the only year they did the football. But the football,
Oh yeah, Mark. They were kind of longer and narrow a little.
yeah,
A bigger card.
yeah, 4x6 they measure,
Yeah.
and they were,
Yeah, that was what it was.
yep, they were not that hard. I mean, they weren't that easy to get either. Like the
I think I have a Calvin Hill and
Yeah.
another. I think I have two of those. I'll have to break them out one day and look at those.
right, and they
I think I got two, Mark.
there weren't too many in the set. Here's a nice this guy Gary Thomas. You ever heard of? He does these goal line art cards. He did
That's a
these
nice. That's some nice artwork there.
beautiful artwork. These are also 4x6, and the artist's name is Gary Thomas. He was hired by the Hall of Fame, I guess. He
Yeah.
did these for all the Hall of Fame every year. The Hall of Fame inductees.
Yeah, those are sharp.
I think they couldn't reach an agreement about 5 years ago. All of us, because I would order them every year. Every year I would order the new set that came out. He stopped doing it. I think I read about it. They couldn't come to a contract agreement, so he doesn't do it anymore. It's a shame. They were real nice. If you remember these cards, these were the glossy. They were called the glossy Topps glossy cards. They
I remember that, Mark, with rounded corners.
right rounded corners, and they have like a glossy finish.
Uh-huh.
And they
What year is that, Mark? Do you remember?
70. It's the only-
Okay.
Everything. 1970 was the best year for collect. They came out with so much stuff. Everything. And that's right around the time I was 8 years old. So this was.
No. Right, I get it.
It's a good thing I was only 8 and didn't have money, because I would have bought everything.
70 was 19 was 70 the year with the bright colors, Mark,
Yes.
in the background?
Oh, that was 69.
Oh, okay.
69. Here's another everything. 1970. Kellogg's came out with the 3D.
Oh, I remember those. I have a couple of those.
Yeah.
I think I might have had both. I still might have those.
Yeah.
Mine got curled up and they started to crack.
Right. You got to put them in.
Yes.
Yeah. If you didn't put them in the protector, they would curl up and crack. I remember
Yes.
that. But they used to come in cereal boxes. I remember they had them in Raisin Bran boxes. I didn't like Raisin Bran, but
No.
my sister did. My sister liked Raisin Bran. So I would convince my mother, you need to buy Raisin Bran for my sister.
Listen,
She really likes Raisin Bran. The only reason I wanted it is because I'd reach my hand in there and grab the 3D cards. But 1970, another one. Everything, I'm telling you, everything came out in 1970. Remember these?
that I don't remember, Mark.
8x10. They would fold these up and put them inside the packs of cards.
Really?
They would randomly insert these. Yeah, you could see they're folded. They were folded in 4.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I was able to get these on eBay. I only had a couple of them when I was a kid, but because they would just random, they didn't come in every pack. It was like maybe if you bought 5 packs of cards, you might get one that had that. I got the whole set on eBay.
Really? I remember the little mini poster. You had it last time we were on. You showed it to me.
Yeah. Here's the one. Here's the one I showed you, right?
Yes, those I remember.
Yeah.
I told you I had them hanging in my room. My brother took them down because he wasn't into sports.
Right.
I had those taped up, and I didn't have Gail Sears, but I remember I had some other bit ones though.
Oh yeah. There's a Don Maynard.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. These were real nice. Lenny Dawson. 5x7 they measured. The same thing. They would fold them up and put them inside the packs of cards. But these were 1968.
Yeah.
Yep. And let's see what else I got. I got some weird stuff. I got a pro wrestling magazine here. This is from 1965.
Really?
Yeah. You see Bruno Sammartino?
Is that Sammartino? Yeah, it is.
Bruno Sammartino, Lou Thez, some of the real old guys.
Yes.
Lou Thez and Cowboy Bob Ellis.
Oh, I remember him.
Yeah, that's from 1965.
Where'd you pick that up, Mark?
You know, I get some of the stuff you can't even remember where you got it. I remember I had a friend. I had a friend who was a real big pro wrestling fan. I think he got them at a used bookstore.
Really?
Before he got here we go again, 1970. More stuff from 1970. These baseball World Series cards. Cartoons. I love these. These are some of my favorites. I had some of them from when I was a kid, but I liked them so much that I got them on eBay, the whole set. 2 years they made them, 1970 and 71. And see, this one is the Orioles. There's the Orioles when they beat the Reds.
Those are pretty neat.
Yeah, I love these. They have the cartoon, and they're very humorous. You see this one?
Yeah.
And I'm a Yankees fan, but this one is really funny.
Yeah.
The Cardinals beat the Yankees that year in the World Series.
Yeah, that's good.
Defeat pills.
That's good stuff right there.
Yeah, he's giving them a defeat pill. This one's kind of something different. This came out of they had those candy sugar daddy.
I remember those.
Yeah, they were like a lollipop kind of.
Yeah,
but they were flat.
Yes.
Yeah, and they would stick these in the sugar daddies, and that's John Brockington.
I remember those. Imagine that. Somebody must have had an epiphany in 1970 saying, we could start making money off this stuff.
Amazing.
Because think of the amount of stuff that you're showing me that's all the same year.
It's the early 70s, especially 1970. Seemed like they came out with so much stuff. Oh, I was never a big hockey fan, Dave, but this guy, whenever the Rangers were playing the Boston Bruins.
I had his game. He had a game where you turned the thing. Bobby Orr hockey it was.
Right, yep.
Yeah,
I had that game.
And the puck used to come down and drop, and it had fake crowd and everything. Right. I had the Bobby Orr hockey game.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't remember what year that is. 73 maybe. I wasn't a big hockey fan, but I whenever the Rangers were playing the Bruins, I made sure I put on the TV.
Really?
Because I loved watching Bobby Orr. I don't know if you remember we get these out of the bubblegum machines. The old...
Oh, yes. Mark, I had them all up at the ice cream shop. I put them on top of the menu board.
Right. Yeah.
The old Redskin with they had different ones.
Arrow, yeah.
I remember that.
Some of them came with a pencil sharpener. You see the pencils?
Yes, I remember those. Yes.
That one's the Chargers. Yep, you get these.
Unbelievable.
And these weren't that cheap. I think you had I think they were a quarter each, which was
Yeah.
pretty expensive at that time.
Yeah, they were in, yeah, were they in like a little capsule?
Yes. Yeah, they
Yes, I
came in
remember it.
a plastic capsule. And they weren't that cheap. You had to put a quarter in there. I got some here's some neat pictures. This is a picture of Ron Yary. This was at the Hall of Fame before,
Yes.
before you couldn't even get near these places. These guys were just roaming around. You remember?
Yeah, look at your son, how young he is.
Yeah, my son, I don't know how old he was there, maybe 10 or 11.
Yeah.
See,
He was a great player, Ron Year. How many years was he? He was all pro, like every year.
oh, yeah, he was tremendous. And what's really neat, and my son's not into sports at all, but he likes this picture. You know why? Because he remembers, he's showing, see he's got his fist up there?
Yes.
Ron Yary took off his Hall of Fame ring and let my son put it on his finger for the picture. He's got
Yep.
Ron Yary's Hall of Fame ring on there. And then,
Wow, that's good stuff, Mark.
I don't remember. I think the next year we saw him. We saw him again. We asked him to autograph it.
Is he still alive?
I think he is. Yes, I believe he is. He's still alive. And you remember this one, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was probably talking to Lily about photography there.
Yep, you were. He was
Because I saw his book. I went online and I looked at his pictures. He went to a lot of places that I've been to, very similar.
Yeah.
And he was shooting large format photography. He was good, Lily, too. That's what they did a special on that, NFL Films. You've seen that one?
I might
Where it
not-
talks about Lily with the photography. I'll find it. I'll send it to you.
I remember he must have talked to us for a good 10 minutes. He was talking about photography with you.
Oh,
And he was-
easily.
He was looking for a particular picture, I remember.
Well, he told me he had a picture in his house,
Right.
and I know the picture too. And he said it was black and white,
Yeah.
and it was the Cowboys against the Browns, and they were covered in mud.
And it was at Cleveland Municipal Stadium, I think, right?
I think it might have been a game they played. It was 6-2 or something. Maybe is that possible?
Yes, a regular season.
Anyway, he says you could see all 11 guys in this picture. He said to me,
Right.
and I said you could take that picture. I said you could get it scanned.
Yeah.
You got to take it to somebody that's got a big scanner. But there are guys that do it. They will scan that picture. It'll look even better than that. I said to him.
Yeah.
And you can get that because he says I was wanting to get it made, one for each guy.
Right.
And but it was funny because here's this guy. I didn't even care about talking about football with him. It was
Yeah.
so I was into the photography so much at that time. I still kind of am, but yeah, he was great, Lily. He's a great guy. You could just tell.
Oh, yeah. Tremendous. Here's I got John Mackey.
Oh yeah.
Let's see here. John Mackey. Here he is signing. He's signing the autograph for me.
Yes.
There's the autograph. Over here, he's showing he's got his Hall of Fame ring and his Super Bowl ring.
I could see it on your shoulder.
Yep. Well, very friendly guy. He was and he's, at this time, you could tell he was getting the dementia. He started getting the dementia and the Alzheimer's.
Very sad.
Extremely friendly guy. He was standing out there in the hot sun, signing autographs for everybody.
Yeah, look, Mark, it's sad, very sad.
Yeah. Here, I think I showed you this. I don't know. I think I showed you this last time. These were from Shell.
Oh yeah, you talked about the gas station. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, but you couldn't get you could only get the local teams. So we could only get Jets and Giants. But I got these in Arizona. We were past.
Really?
My cousins live in Tucson, Arizona, We were
Oh, so he got them for you.
no, we were coming back from somewhere. You know, we were doing some sightseeing. We were
Yeah.
coming back from somewhere. My cousin was driving, and as he was driving, I was, just looking out the window, and I noticed we were driving past a sports memorabilia place. I said, "Do you mind if we stop here?" And we stopped there, and I saw these. There was 6. Let me see. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 6 of them from the Cowboys.
Really? Who they got? They got D.D. Lewis.
D.D. Lewis, Harvey Martin, Bob Brunig, Benny Barnes, and Drew Pearson. And I think the other one was Raphael Seption.
Really?
D.D. Lewis, I years ago I had the addresses. That's
Yeah.
D.D. Lewis. I sent him a letter in the mail, and he signed this. He even put a Bible verse there. Proverbs.
Imagine that.
Yeah, Proverbs 3:5-6. Yeah. So that's some of the.
He's still around.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's
I
still.
listen. I saw a fairly recent interview with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was. I think it was when Walt Garrison passed away.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Was it on? Is it on YouTube?
I'll find it. I'll find it. Yeah.
See, I got a couple.
Mark, do you remember the? Let me ask you if you remember these. I know you will. You got a good memory. It was Sunoco. They came out with a book. It was right after the Cowboys beat Miami.
Yeah.
With the stamps.
Yeah, the stamp collectors. That's right.
Listen, you're like me and my buddy. We go. Oh, there was a Sunoco kind of near our neighborhood. We had to ride our bikes to. It was far enough away, and we said, "Oh, we could sneak in and get some stamps." He had them in his office. The guy.
Yeah.
We thought we were going to sneak in there and grab some of the stamps. They came in like little plastic folders. The stamps would fit in there.
Right.
Hey, get out of there, the guy says to us. We grabbed a couple, because you had to buy gas. We were too young. We weren't driving.
Yeah.
You know, what was I, 14 years old, 15 or something? Maybe, not even, 12, I think. 12.
Right.
Because 71, they came out the following year. So, yeah, I was 12, 13 years old. We went up there. I said, oh, he got mad at us. He said, my buddies, he says, my father knows him. Don't worry. He goes, he won't get mad, because my buddy's father had a car lot.
Yeah.
And this guy had a filling station. They knew each other. And I says, maybe, don't let him know it's you. I said, you'll get in trouble. But we went up there and tried to get the stamps. You know what I mean? I never did fill that book up, but that was a pretty neat thing.
Yeah, I never got involved with the stamps, but I remember those. They had the commercials on TV about them.
That's right. I got that book somewhere in my basement over here. I could find it. I pulled it out one day, but I think it's over here in the basement somewhere. But
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. Like you said, and that was 70. It was after the 71 season, so it was. That's when things started to kind of come around.
Yep.
But you still didn't really have the licensed apparel yet, though.
No, nothing was licensed, and even on the football cards, they would blot out the logo on the helmet. Remember?
Yes, they would.
They wouldn't show the logo on the cards.
It's right. I wonder what they had to be in the mid. Was it the mid 70s that the helmet was available to, or the late 70s you were able to see the helmet?
Yeah, probably like around 77, 78. Then they I guess they finally got it licensed to where they could show the logo on the helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you
That's
mentioned going on the bicycles, and that's one of my most memorable years was 1975. I was 13 years old, and most of my friends were around the same age, 13, 12, 14, in that range. And we would drive our bikes everywhere. And you remember, not like today, the cards are available 365 days a year.
Yes.
Back then, you had to wait. The baseball
No,
came out like during spring training, probably
that's
in
right.
March, and the football would come out in August during
That's
pre.
right.
And we would ride our bikes around all over the neighborhood, going to all these little mom and pop stores,
That's right.
bothering the where's the car? Where's the cards? Where's the cards?
Exactly.
They'd say, "Get out of here! Come back tomorrow. There's no cards. We didn't
They were
get the
like
card."
20. They were like 25 cents a pack.
Yeah. Yep.
And there was a guy down the street from me here. Actually, I'm closer to his place now because I moved 3 streets down. But it was called Johnny's Market. He was a big guy. He had a big head. I remember it vividly. And we used to walk down sometimes.
Yeah.
And we would buy the Monkeys, the band. Remember the Monkeys?
Yep. Yep.
And we would put $1. You know, because we had paper routes. So I think I was making $13 a week on my paper route. So we'd put the $1 on the counter,
Right.
and we'd say, "Give me 4 packs of Monks."
Yeah.
That's what we would say to him. And it was, and he had football cards, and that smell of the gum was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah. The stale gum. It tasted good
Right?
for about a minute. The first minute.
No,
it tasted
exactly.
good, and then it just
Yeah.
completely lost its flavor.
Imagine they probably banned that today. They said, "No, you can't have that gum. It's not it's no good for you." But
Yeah.
oh, it was great. It was great.
Yeah. And that year I remember particularly because I was 13, so now I finally had some money because, that's around the age when we started doing we would cut lawns, we would rake
Yes.
leaves, we would shovel the people's sidewalks. So now I finally had some money. So of course, all the money went to baseball and football.
No, listen, it was almost, you don't even like to use it, but it was almost magical if you think about it now.
It was.
You know what I mean? Like the feeling that you got.
It was.
And I think a lot of it though really is because there wasn't an oversaturation
No.
of. I think today, the games aren't even over. They're already showing this stuff on Sports Center and all this other crap. And it's just an over analyzing.
Yeah.
It's just a turnoff. And the perfect example was this past week. You probably didn't see much of it, but they made a big deal about a pass that the receiver for the Cowboys took, CeeDee Lamb. He said the sun was in his eyes.
Right.
So as the sun sets in the fall
Yeah.
in Texas Stadium, it comes in through the windows. It's not Texas Stadium, but AT&T, whatever the hell they call it.
Right.
But the sun comes in and creates quite a glare. It is bright, okay? But so there was a bunch of people talking about it last night, and believe it or not, I still have AOL for one of my emails.
Right.
Because one of them is AOL, and there was a forum of something about the sun, and so I chimed in on it, and basically what I wrote was, the stadium was designed to have elements somewhat. The roof opens.
Right.
They've got 150-foot doors on each end. Those can also open.
Yeah.
And he wanted light to come in.
Yeah.
Okay, so when they asked him about it this week, Jerry got mad. He said, "Why don't we tear the whole damn thing down and build it over again?" He said he got upset about it.
Yeah.
And so I wrote, why is this becoming a big problem? I said, all of a sudden, how many plays do they play in a football game? And so one play was affected by it. Who cares? So basically, that's pretty much what I wrote. They wrote back. They said we can't post your thing. It didn't go to our guidelines.
Yeah.
Like I didn't swear in it.
Yeah.
I didn't use one curse word. All
Right.
I said was, why are we talking about this? It's ridiculous. And they got their I didn't say they got their ass kicked. I didn't even talk about the game, but they got their ass kicked in, okay? It wasn't even close, the game.
Yeah.
And you're talking about this one play, and they're saying this man builds $1 billion stadium. They do have shades, believe it or not. In fact, yesterday, they had some Mike Tyson fought some guy.
Yeah.
Okay? It was like some kind of exhibition match.
Right.
And they held it in Texas Stadium. I didn't know they was even going to have it there.
Yeah.
And the curtains were closed. Somebody brought it up.
Wow.
But the stadium, it was at night. The whole event was at nighttime. What difference does it make? But I'm thinking to myself, you didn't even really know what a player looked like back then. Because on the football cards, a lot of times they had their helmet on.
Yeah.
Or, if they even had a football card. Unless you had the football card, some of them the helmets were off. But if you didn't have the football cards, you didn't even know what a guy looked like because you never saw a guy. Because there was no interviews really. There was no sports center. The only guys you saw really were the local teams, the Giants and the Jets.
Yep.
That was it. And so that was the wonderful thing about it is remembering back to it now that we remember it. The great part about it is it wasn't oversaturated and you couldn't get enough of it.
That's what made it so special.
Yes.
You couldn't just get cards anytime you felt like it. You had to wait.
Nope.
You had to wait the whole year. We waited, and then the football cards would come out sometime in August. There was no specific date that they were going to come out. So we'd drive all over. Oh, I hope today's the day. Today's the day.
Right.
And then
Exactly.
And the owner would say, "No, sorry, they didn't come in yet. Come back tomorrow." The next day we'd be back again. And then the day would finally arrive, the cards, and we just went wild. We'd go in there and buy the cards, and we'd be standing there on the side. There's customers coming in and out, and we're just oblivious that we're in everyone's way. We're oblivious.
Yes,
that we're in everyone's
exactly. It was great though. Those, it's the same principle of the Monday Night Football.
Right.
The Monday Night Football. Okay, I still got a lot of tar on my hand from today. The Monday Night Football. You saw those couple of highlights of your favorite team. You know what I'm saying? And that was a big thing. You saw maybe 4 or 5 plays, really.
Yeah.
With Howard Cosell narrating, and they had a fake crowd in the background, like a crowd. It got a little loud. If they could see they played a couple of clips, and that was huge. That made your whole week.
Yep, that's right.
That made your whole week.
They also had a show on Saturday mornings. I think it was called This is the NFL or This Week in Pro Football.
Yes.
Tom Brookshire and Pat Summerall.
Yes, I remember it vividly.
But, if you missed it, if you had something to do that morning and you didn't see it, there was no VHS recorder. If you missed it, that was it.
No, you're not getting any of that right. There was no recordings. It was great, Mark. It was a great. Even my buddy that collects the cards now.
Yeah.
He actually, through the cards, he could actually, because he's only in he's 48.
Right.
Or 49, so he missed all that.
Yeah.
But, he can detect it. He can even tell. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He could.
Yeah.
And it really was great. It was a great era for sports. Not just football either,
Right.
I followed boxing back then. I watched baseball. Willie Mays was playing still. And, it was just great. I watched basketball. The Knicks won it in '69. And I was a Milwaukee Bucks fan, believe it or not. But I think they won it the following year or the year after that. I can't remember, but it was 70 or 71, I think, or somewhere around there, 72. It was very, very good. It was, and as you got older, all these things that we looked at today, the stuff you're showing me, the stuff I showed you, you were able to buy these things. Obviously, you can't buy them when you're a kid, but
right,
they took on extra meaning.
Yeah.
Because of what it meant when you were a kid.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It was such a special feeling. Like you say, you get you almost get goosebumps, because
I mean, it was a different world. It really, it sounds crazy, but it really was a different world.
Yep.
Everything today is kind of watered down. It's cheap version of what I mean. It's like that when they tried to recreate Woodstock.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not going to recreate that. I hate to break the news to you, but I mean, people could show up and they could listen to music, but it's never going to be the same as that was.
Right.
And there's just certain things that you know, that you have, and you just say, and then before you know it, you got all this stuff, and you're like, I don't remember accumulating it all, but like, it was fun going through it, but
Right.
it was extra fun because you knew when you were a kid how great it really was. That's what made it great.
Yeah. It was a special feeling.
It was good, Mark.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we got to do. I'm glad we
No,
got
it was great. It was great coming on with you again, and we'll do another one soon with the Super Bowl if you want to do the thing with the 5, and we'll do whatever you want to do.
Oh,
And I'll break out a couple of things every time we come on. There's that woman who made the jerseys up in upstate New York next to the Baseball Hall of Fame.
oh yeah.
I gotta show you some of the stuff she made. She was great. I should have broke that out, but I'll show you some of those. She was phenomenal. And then I went back in the '90s.
Right.
She wasn't at the store anymore, but the grandson was there, and he said, "Oh, I'll call her up. She only lives up the road." She came down and everything. It was great, Mark. It was absolutely great.
Unbelievable.
You know what I mean? I saw a Wilt Chamberlain jersey hanging in her front window. It was like, holy Moses, look at that thing. You never saw anything like it before.
Yeah.
You couldn't go to a store and buy it. There was no such thing.
No. That's what made it so special. Because it was a rarity. It wasn't just common like everything today is just right at your fingertips, You press
No,
it-
I mean, exactly. You could get on the computer and order it.
Yeah.
There was nothing special. There's nothing special about it.
No, it's not the same feeling. Not the same feeling.
No, when that guy got me that jacket
Yeah.
and in fact, my buddy Frank Davino, who's just passed away, was my best friend. He passed away about 5 years ago, believe it or not. He got a jacket too.
Wow.
He's the only other one that got it.
Unbelievable.
I said I can get you one, maybe, Frank. I said, let me see if the guy can get another one. And we thought we were the cat's nuts. We were the only ones with something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That was
And listen, we were young kids. The jackets really didn't even fit us. They were too big.
Yeah.
But by the time I got into my early 20s, I filled out, and I was about 210, 220 pounds.
Right.
I was able to put that jacket on, and it fit beautiful.
Yeah.
And it was great.
That's amazing. And that was because of the guy knew Buck Buchanan, the equipment manager.
He knew a guy that knew him. Exactly. It wasn't even him. It was another guy.
He knew a guy.
And he says, I could get you this. And of course, I knew the name Buck Buchanan too, though.
Yeah.
Not the football guy that we know, but we knew,
Yeah.
you know yourself when you follow something closely,
Right.
you get to know. And they would talk about Buck Buchanan, the equipment manager.
Yeah. He was there for years and years.
Yeah.
All during the Tom Landry years, he was there.
Yes. And in fact, I think his son took over, Mark, believe it, because I'll never forget it. Before the 1992 championship game when the Cowboys played San Francisco out in Candlestick Park,
Right.
Buck, they were talking about the different length of the cleats.
Oh, okay.
And it showed him. He said, Buck Buchanan, his name. And he was saying, we'll take this off. And he was talking about what different guys like.
Right.
And he goes, Emmett likes to wear this type of cleat, but if he has a problem today, we'll take that off and we'll put this one on. And he was talking about different players. He goes, some guys, they're very superstitious, so they want to wear the same stuff under their equipment. And it was a very good little thing that they had. I have all that on, I recorded that. And I have that on a disc somewhere,
Tremendous.
And I think that was his son at the time, I think.
Wow.
But
Great.
it was a great. I remember one time, Mark, I made a bet with the milkman. Okay, his name was Stan.
Yeah.
Stan, and we bet on Super Bowl VI.
Yeah.
I bet him $2 that the Cowboys were going to win, and
Yeah.
my grandmother used to take care of that, and we had the milk box outside, and I don't know. Many years later, he came into the ice cream shop, and he realized who we were. He realized that these are the guys I used to deliver. He didn't live far from the ice cream shop either. He came in. He says, "You remember me?" And I was looking at him. And he says to me, I used to be your milkman. And I said, oh, this was probably the mid-'90s, probably mid-'96, 95. And so that's 25, that's 20 years later, more.
Yeah.
And I says, yeah. And the first thing he asked me, he says, is your grandmother still alive? I says, no. I said, she passed away in 91. I said, she was in her 90s. I said, she was 93. I said, or 94 years old.
Yeah.
Because he remembers she was the one that would do it, put the money out and everything. But that was the first thing he said to me. Well, I made him a bet. I was a kid. I was 12 years old? But it was a different world.
And they had the glass bottles, right? The milk came in.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
The glass bottles and when he said that to me, do you remember who I am? After he said it, I said he kind of looks the same.
Yeah.
It was 25 years later. He looked like the same guy, a little older. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. He goes, I didn't know you guys own this. I said, yeah, we've been here. Quite a while now. He goes, I've been in here before. He goes, I haven't seen. I said, I only work nights. I said to him, you got to come in at night. I said, but yeah. I said, we've been here, pretty long time. But that was pretty good. It was pretty neat.
Tremendous.
It was great, Mark. It really was.
Yeah. Well, it was great reliving the memories.
It was very good. And we'll get together again soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Let me know, when you want to do it, and we'll do it.
Yep.
All right, Mark.
If I don't talk to you before Thanksgiving, have a happy Thanksgiving.
You too, Mark. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you.
And will you see your son on Thanksgiving or no?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Tell him I said hello. He may remember.
He probably will remember because I remember you gave him a cup full of ice cream and he was very happy.
Yeah, no, you came up. We took him up to Cossapog, and they spent the day up there while you and I were milling around doing some other crap.
That's right.
But yeah. Tell him I said hi.
I will. You probably
all
will.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
God bless you, Mark. Thank you.
You too.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.